first shot we see is an establishing panning shot of the trees to show a sense of nature and for it to look like the trees are closing in on the viewer.
The location we picked was also very secluded and quite dark with very pale lighting. This made it look a lot more sinister as well. Here we're analysing the titles of our production. We kept it pretty simplistic by using a white writing upon a dark background. This makes it very high contrast and also very easy to read. The font itself is very simplistic as to not take away attention from the actual content of the font. It also has connotations of darkness with the black background and a very small amount of light colour.
We also wanted to use a simple font to keep the reader's interest on what the picture is actually saying. We next cut to a wide-angle shot of the abandoned house. The house is in the centre of the frame to attract the viewer's attention. You can also see off to the side the part of the shed, and we can see the darkness of the doorway.
The local surrounding also has a lot of woodland and trees, which is very abandoned, very inhospitable, which makes it a much more dangerous location. The weather is also quite bleak and cold. We wanted to keep the font of the titles as straightforward as possible, so we kept with a similar theme of very simplistic font and colours so that we could get the point across easily without long periods of text.
In this shot we can see the dead leaves on the floor, which tells us that the season is autumn. This could be linking to death, as autumn is a symbol of death. We can also see the contrast between the green leaves, which are a symbol for life, which could foreshadow possible death.
The windscreen also frames the image and gives it quite an even appearance, which also to some extent hinders your view of the full surroundings. There's also a frame in the middle in the rear view mirror that shows the face of the main character, and also it's very dark off to the side of her face, which could be concealing something. The derelict building is still in the background, which continues to give yourself a sense of location. We initially see a vehicle drive in from the center of the screen across to the left. This immediately shows that it should have an important character within it. The way that the reflection conceals the identity of the driver also shows some mystery as to who is inside.
We can see that the high bank next to the car gives a sense of enclosure, and we can't see the sky, which gives a sense of being trapped. We can also see the reflection of the trees in the windows, which adds to the sense of nature. Here we cut to an interior medium close-up of our female character. This is so we can see her reaction. She is off to one side, and we can see the nature creeping in through the window.
During her conversation, we can hear that she's very flustered and panicky about something. She needs to talk to whoever's on the other end about something. This is quickly followed up by surprise upon her face at the end of the scene. In this scene we see a lot of vertical trees in the background. This can have connotations of prison bars and entrapment, as does the fact that she's driven down through what seems to be a valley with high banks on either side. As she exits the car, she seems to stumble and walk quite slowly through the thick undergrowth and dead leaves. The character has reached what has confused or shocked her previously. Up until this point we don't know what she's seen or have had any indication of what it could be. We are also now shown that in the background there is a second bank which shows a complete encasement within a valley.
We can see the representation of the female character. She has quite a pale face with dark hair and quite dark clothing. This is to foreshadow possible death. We also see what looks to be a bar across the camera as the mystery, as we do not know where the camera is placed or what she is looking at. Here we see the female character pulling back a blanket to show a mysterious looking doll. We can see connotations between both the doll and the female character, as they both have dark hair and a pale face. We can also see the nature creeping in the shot again.
We used a mid-shot to show not only the setting and how enclosed it is once again, but also to show the expressions on Hayley's face as she looks around confused and worried.
It is clear to see that nature yet again dominates the background. There are more dead leaves situated where the victim is stood. This symbolises that death may be creeping up. A mixture of dead and alive leaves are shown to contrast life and death.
Where we see the interior being very dark, we also get the reflection of trees on the window. The trees' branchy nature makes it look very claw-like and quite grabbing.
Here we also see that the diegetic... Also in this shot, the non-diegetic music is cut off at the same time as the door slams. This is to add tension, making the viewer think that something's about to happen.
We see a lot of derelict buildings as well as the natural death and life elements. This could also be reflected within the scene of the windscreen as reflecting the changing of the main character from alive to death.
Here the focus is on the rearview mirror. We can see that in the background that it's complete darkness, but when the child reveals its face, we can see him.
We decided to use a child's face to make the situation appear much more sinister, and to also represent the corruption of innocence linking to the doll.
Purgatory. Within this very final title sequence, we returned with the music so that people would relate it towards the murders and the actual attacks from the main character. We also have the titles very simplistic still and creeping towards you as if an aggressive approach, similarly to the main character.